Adam was only 20 when he married Sarah, the girl he loved more than anything in the world. They had no money, no big wedding, no fancy clothes, and no special place to live. Instead, they moved into a small, old room in Adam's parents' house. The walls were cracked, the roof leaked during rains, and the windows barely closed. It was not a perfect home, but it was theirs. Adam and Sarah did not care what others said. Friends and neighbors whispered about their choices. Some said they had rushed into marriage. Others said they would regret it. But Adam and Sarah only cared about each other. Every morning, Sarah would wake up before Adam. She made him tea, kissed his hand, and wished him luck for the day. Adam left for his delivery job early in the cold mornings, and Sarah stayed behind, sewing clothes, fixing buttons, and folding fabrics for neighbors to earn a few coins. Her hands often hurt, her back ached, but she smiled, always saying, "We're okay." Even with nothing around them, they felt rich in love and hope. At night, they counted the small coins they earned that day. They shared simple meals, often bread, rice, or soup, and dreamed quietly of a better future. "One day we will rise," Adam said. Sarah nodded, smiling softly. They didn't have much, but they had peace, love, and each other. That was enough. The neighborhood did not understand them. Some people looked down on their choices. Others laughed quietly or whispered, "They will fail soon." But Adam and Sarah ignored them. They did not want easy ways or fake respect. They wanted an honest life, built with hard work and care. Even during cold nights under thin blankets, they held hands and felt warmth. Sometimes it was very hard. When rent was due, they counted coins nervously. When clothes tore, they stitched them with care. When food ran out, they made the best of what little they had. Sometimes they cried, not out of weakness, but because they felt the weight of life. Yet, they always comforted each other. Sarah would gently wipe Adam's tears, and Adam would hold her close. They whispered words of love and hope. "We are together. That is enough," Sarah said. Adam's job as a delivery man was not easy. He rode his old bicycle for long hours, delivering food, letters, and small packages. The cold wind burned his face, and the streets were full of noise, broken roads, and impatient people. Sometimes people ignored him. Sometimes they scolded him. But he never complained. Sarah's soft words and small smiles gave him courage. Sarah's life at home was not easy either. She worked tirelessly, often standing for hours to sew clothes. Her fingers were sore, and her back ached, yet she smiled every day. She sang softly while working, filling their small room with music. Adam listened and felt hope grow inside him. Their room was tiny, but full of life. Their dreams were not about money or luxury. They dreamed of peace, kindness, and being together. Even when friends and family doubted them, they stayed strong. Some friends stopped visiting. Some relatives scolded them. But Adam and Sarah did not complain. They stayed quiet, worked hard, and kept their hearts full of love. Every small coin they earned, every warm meal, and every shared smile felt like gold. During long nights, when the world seemed dark, Adam would sit and think about the future. He remembered Sarah's words, "Love is not comfort. It is care in pain and peace in chaos." He understood then that life was not about avoiding struggles. It was about facing them together. Sarah had given him courage and hope, even when everything seemed impossible. They shared small joys, a hot cup of tea, a warm blanket, a small meal, or even a quiet moment together felt like treasures. Life was not easy, but they had each other. The love they shared made their hearts strong. Even in the smallest room, they built a life full of meaning. Adam and Sarah knew their journey had just begun. Every day was a new challenge, but they faced it together. Their dreams were small steps at first, But each step was important. One day, they promised each other. They would rise, they would make something of their life, and they would never give up. In that little room with cracked walls and a leaking roof, Adam and Sarah discovered a truth. Happiness is not about having everything. It is about caring, loving, and never losing hope, even when life is hard. Their story was only starting, but already it shone with courage, hope, and the quiet strength of two hearts committed to each other. And so, Adam and Sarah began their journey together, hand in hand, ready to face every challenge, small and big, with love, patience, and determination. This was the beginning of a story of struggle, hope, and success, and their hearts were ready for whatever life would bring. Adam and Sarah knew they could not rely on luck or money. They had to take the first small step to change their life. One morning, Sarah had an idea. "We can cook food and sell it," she said softly. Adam looked at her, unsure at first, but then he nodded. It was a simple plan, but it could work. That day, Sarah woke up early and started cooking. She made rice, beans, and a little meat, packing each meal carefully in small boxes. She added a note in each box, "Made with love. Enjoy." Adam rode his old bicycle through the streets, knocking on doors, offering the meals politely. Some people ignored him. Some said no, but a few smiled and bought the food. The first day was slow. They sold only a few meals, and Adam felt tired and disappointed. "Maybe this will not work," he said quietly. Sarah held his hand and smiled. "Every small step matters. We start today, and tomorrow will be better." Her calm voice gave him courage. Each day, they tried again. Sarah cooked early in the morning, carefully measuring spices, boiling rice, and frying vegetables. Adam delivered the meals with a polite smile, speaking gently to every customer. Slowly, people began to notice. Some returned the next day, telling their friends. Orders increased from a few meals to 10, then 20. Adam and Sarah worked from morning to night, tired but happy. The small room they lived in became a kitchen full of warmth. Even though they were exhausted, they laughed at small mistakes. Sometimes Sarah spilled rice or burned the beans. Adam would make a funny face, and Sarah would laugh, wiping the tears from her eyes. Even during hard work, their love and joy never disappeared. Neighbors began to talk about them. Some were impressed, others were jealous or doubtful. "They will fail soon," some said. Adam ignored them. Sarah smiled quietly and continued cooking. They focused on their work, not gossip. After a few months, their efforts paid off. A man from an office tried their meals and loved them. He placed an order for 50 meals every day. Adam and Sarah were nervous. It was a lot of work, but they agreed. They worked together to cook more meals, buying extra ingredients and planning carefully. One day, disaster struck. A supplier delivered rotten meat. Adam and Sarah were shocked. The rice had gone bad too. They had spent all their savings, and some customers had lost trust. Adam felt hopeless. "We ruined everything," he whispered. Sarah held his hand gently. "We still have each other. That is more important than money." The next day, they started again. Slowly, with small meals, one plate at a time, they regained their customers. Adam rode his bicycle, knocking on doors. Sarah cooked with love and care. They learned that success was not about speed or money. It was about patience, honesty, and hard work. Their small shop grew day by day. People came not only for the food, but for the love and care they felt in every meal. Adam and Sarah were proud. Each small success reminded them that even the tiniest step could lead to big changes. Through this first step, Adam and Sarah learned an important lesson. No matter how small the beginning, hard work, patience, and love can make dreams grow. Their journey was only beginning, but their hearts were strong, and their hope was alive. Adam and Sarah's small food business was growing slowly, but the challenges were far from over. One morning, they woke up to find that a new restaurant had opened just a few streets away. It was big, fancy, and noisy. The smells from the restaurant spread quickly, and customers who used to buy Adam and Sarah's meals stopped coming. Adam felt worried. "People will forget us," he said quietly. Sarah held his hand and said, "We cannot give up. We just need to work smarter, not faster." But it was not easy. The new restaurant had bright lights, loud music, and attractive menus. People were curious and wanted to try it. Their simple food seemed less exciting compared to the flashy dishes next door. To make things worse, the weather turned bad. Heavy rain flooded some streets, making it hard for Adam to deliver meals. His old bicycle slipped on wet roads, and sometimes meals spilled. One day, a strong wind knocked over the boxes while he was riding. He returned home, soaked and tired, feeling hopeless. At the same time, some of their regular customers complained that the food was late or cold. Adam and Sarah had to find ways to keep their promise. Fresh food every time. They stayed up late at night, cleaning, cooking, and packing meals with extra care. Their small room became crowded with boxes and pots. The air smelled of rice, spices, and hope. Then came another problem. Their small savings were running out. Ingredients became expensive, and they did not have enough money to buy quality supplies. Sarah suggested they try cheaper ingredients, but Adam refused. "We cannot lose our trust. People come for our love and care, not cheap food." Sarah smiled and agreed. The pressure was heavy. Adam felt tired, weak, and sometimes angry. He wanted to give up, but every time he looked at Sarah, he saw hope in her eyes. "We have worked too hard to stop now," she said. They both knew that real success would not come without facing these obstacles. One day, Adam received a complaint from a customer. The meal had spilled during delivery, and the customer threatened to never buy again. Adam felt a mix of anger, sadness, and fear. He wanted to scream, but Sarah put her hand on his shoulder. "We fix this together, not by giving up." They learned new ways to deliver food safely. Adam added padding to the boxes, tied them tightly, and planned safer routes. Sarah improved the cooking process, ensuring meals stayed warm longer. They also began adding little notes with kind messages to every box, reminding customers of their care and effort. Slowly, things began to improve, but the challenge had made them stronger. They realized that obstacles were not meant to stop them. They were meant to teach them patience, creativity, and perseverance. Adam and Sarah knew that if they gave up now, all their hard work would vanish. The challenge of competition, bad weather, and financial struggle tested their hearts, but it also strengthened their bond. Together, they found courage they didn't know they had. Every day, they reminded themselves, small steps, constant effort, and love could overcome even the biggest challenges. By facing these obstacles, Adam and Sarah learned an important lesson. Life will always throw difficulties, but those who work with honesty, love, and patience can survive, grow, and continue their journey toward dreams. Despite all their hard work, Adam and Sarah faced their toughest setback yet. One morning, Adam opened the shop to find that half of their fresh ingredients had spoiled overnight. The refrigerator had stopped working, and the meals they had prepared were ruined. Every coin they had spent on those supplies seemed wasted. Adam's heart sank. Customers arrived as usual, but Adam had nothing to give them. Some left disappointed, some complained loudly. Sarah tried to stay calm, but tears filled her eyes. They both knew that this day could hurt their reputation permanently. Their dream, built with so much love and patience, seemed to crumble in front of them. To make things worse, a loyal customer, who used to order meals every day, stopped coming. Adam felt a heavy weight on his chest. "We failed, Sarah," he whispered. "Maybe we are not strong enough. Maybe this is too much for us." Sarah held his hand and shook her head. "We cannot give up, Adam. But yes, today is hard. We are sad. We are angry. We are disappointed. But this is not the end." Even though her voice was soft, it carried strength. Adam wanted to believe her, but the pain of losing so much made him question everything. That evening, Adam and Sarah sat in their small room, counting coins, trying to figure out how to survive. They had barely enough to buy fresh ingredients for the next day. Sleep was impossible. The leaking roof dripped cold water on their heads. Hunger gnawed at them, but they could not eat. Their small dreams felt fragile, and the world outside seemed harsh and cruel. Even their little helpers had gone home. Seeing no work left, Adam looked around the empty shop and felt a wave of hopelessness. "All our effort wasted," he muttered. Sarah stayed silent, sitting beside him, holding his hand tightly. Her presence gave him comfort, but the fear of failure was too strong to ignore. That night, under the cold, flickering light of a single bulb, Adam cried quietly. He cried not just for the spoiled food or lost money, but for the years of struggle that seemed to be slipping away. He thought about all the nights they had stayed awake, all the mornings they had started with hope, and wondered if it was all for nothing. Sarah, too, cried silently, but she refused to surrender. "We will rise again, Adam. Not today, maybe not tomorrow, but we will. Together." Her words were gentle, yet full of courage. They reminded Adam of why they had started this journey: love, hope, and the desire to build something real with their own hands. The setback was painful, humiliating, and heavy. Their confidence wavered, and their hearts ached. They realized that life could test them in ways they were not prepared for. But even in despair, they found a tiny spark: the desire to try again, the unwillingness to let go of their dreams completely. That night, Adam and Sarah made a silent promise. No matter how many failures came, no matter how heavy the challenges, they would continue. They would rise from every fall. They would learn from every mistake. And they would never give up on each other or their dreams. The setback had broken their routine, tested their courage, and shaken their faith. But deep inside, a seed of hope remained. It was small, fragile, and quiet, but it existed. And that seed would grow stronger in the days to come, preparing them for a comeback that would change everything. After the devastating setback, Adam and Sarah felt broken, but they refused to let failure define them. That night, they sat quietly in their small room, reflecting on what went wrong. Adam stared at the cold floor and whispered, "Maybe we are too small for this world." Sarah shook her head gently, placing her hand on his. "We are not small. We just need a new plan, smarter steps, and faith in ourselves." The next morning, they woke early, despite the cold and hunger. Sarah started cleaning the kitchen and organizing the remaining ingredients. Adam patched the old refrigerator as best as he could, and together they salvaged what was still usable. They did not have much, but they had each other, and that was more valuable than anything else. They began with small steps. Sarah focused on preparing only a few dishes that she could cook perfectly, and Adam personally delivered each meal, smiling at customers with renewed determination. Their approach changed. They paid attention to every detail, from the freshness of the ingredients to the way the meals were packed. They even added handwritten notes with each delivery saying, "Made with care. Enjoy your meal." It was a small gesture, but it reminded their customers that someone genuinely cared. The first day of their comeback was tough. Many doors closed in Adam's face. Some people refused to try the food again. A few complained that the portions were smaller. The city seemed unforgiving, but Sarah's words echoed in his mind. "We are not small. We can do this." They kept walking from street to street, asking politely, smiling warmly, and delivering meals with love. Slowly, the tide began to turn. A woman at a nearby office took a chance and ordered a small lunchbox. She smiled at Adam, nodded appreciatively, and said, "It's simple, but it tastes real. Thank you." That small smile felt like sunlight after a storm. One person tried it, then another, and soon a few more. Word of mouth started spreading. People returned not for the price, not for fancy packaging, but for the warmth they felt in each meal. Adam and Sarah began to understand the power of consistency and honesty. They learned that mistakes were not the end, but lessons in disguise. Each failed day had taught them to plan better, work harder, and remain kind despite the chaos around them. They also discovered that community mattered. A neighbor offered them old utensils. Another lent them a small amount of money to buy fresh ingredients. Even strangers cheered them on silently, acknowledging their determination. One day, a local cafe owner, impressed by their persistence, gave them advice. "Focus on what you do best," he said. "Don't try to compete with others. Be true to your food, your care, and your story. People will notice." Adam listened carefully and realized they had been spreading themselves too thin, trying to sell everything to everyone. Now, they focused on quality over quantity, simplicity over grandeur. Their small victories began piling up. Orders increased steadily. They added a few new dishes, but never compromised on taste or honesty. Adam worked tirelessly on deliveries, cycling through streets with speed and care. Sarah perfected each meal with love, humming softly while cooking. Their hard work brought a quiet joy that replaced the fear of failure. Every successful day strengthened their confidence. Months passed, and their shop slowly gained recognition. A man from a nearby office building ordered 50 meals daily after trying the food once. Adam and Sarah could hardly believe it. They worked day and night to fulfill each order, ensuring every box was perfect. They learned to divide tasks efficiently. Sarah in the kitchen, Adam on deliveries, both keeping track of finances and customer satisfaction. One evening, as they counted their earnings for the day, Adam looked at Sarah with tears in his eyes. "We did it. We are surviving, really surviving." Sarah smiled, though she was tired, and said, "We did more than survive. We are building something that matters." It was not just about money. It was about resilience, love, and integrity. Their comeback was not without challenges. Storms ruined stock, ingredients went bad, or orders were delayed. But each challenge was smaller now because they had learned to face problems together. They no longer feared failure. They embraced it as a teacher. They also began helping others who struggled, giving leftover food to street children or offering advice to young people trying to start small businesses. By the end of the year, Adam and Sarah's humble shop had become a symbol of hope in their neighborhood. People admired not only the food but the spirit behind it. The walls of the shop, once bare, were now decorated with handwritten thank you notes, drawings from children, and letters of appreciation from grateful customers. Every note reminded them of how far they had come, not because of luck, but because of hard work, persistence, and love. Their story became a lesson for everyone around them. It was proof that setbacks do not define a person's life. The courage to rise again, even when everything seems lost, can turn despair into opportunity. Adam and Sarah had not only regained what they lost, they had created something stronger, better, and more meaningful. By the time they closed the shop one evening, Adam held Sarah's hand and said softly, "We were tested and we passed. Not because life gave us favors, but because we refused to quit." Sarah nodded, her eyes shining, and whispered, "We grew stronger together. That is our true victory." The comeback had transformed them. From despair and failure, they rose to hope, strength, and determination. They learned that every small step mattered, every act of care counted, and that love and persistence were more powerful than any obstacle. And in the quiet satisfaction of a job well done, they found something priceless: faith in themselves, in each other, and in the promise of brighter days. Months of hard work had brought Adam and Sarah to a point where their small shop was recognized in the neighborhood. Orders were steady, people smiled, and their lives felt lighter. But just as life seemed to be settling, a new challenge arrived, one that could break everything they had built. A large, fancy restaurant opened right across the street. Bright lights, shiny signs, music, and advertisements everywhere. People started walking into the new place, curious, attracted by its glamour. Slowly, Adam noticed fewer customers coming to their small shop. The loyal ones were still there, but casual buyers were disappearing. He felt a tight knot in his stomach. "Sarah," he said one morning, "they are taking everyone, our customers, our hope, everything." Sarah looked out of the window, her hands folded, calm but serious. "We knew challenges would come," she said softly. "But this is not the end. It is the moment to fight smarter, not harder. To show the world why our food, our love, is different." The first day of the competition was harsh. Adam delivered meals to a few remaining customers, who looked worried and whispered about trying the new restaurant. He felt discouraged seeing shiny plates, polished tables, and smiling waiters just across the street. But Sarah reminded him, "We have what they don't. Heart, care, truth. That is stronger than glitter." They decided to take bold action. Adam and Sarah worked through the night, planning new ideas, keeping their heart in every meal. They cleaned the shop, rearranged the small space, and added little touches. A handwritten menu, a small bouquet of fresh flowers, even a note of thanks with every meal. They could not match the size or wealth of the new restaurant, but they could match love, effort, and honesty. The next morning, Adam went on deliveries as usual. He greeted each customer warmly, remembered their preferences, and offered small samples of new dishes Sarah had prepared. People noticed the care, the personal touch, and began talking again. "This is real food," said one customer. "Not just for show." But the big challenge came one stormy afternoon. The city announced a food competition, a local event featuring restaurants and small shops. The winner would gain a large contract supplying food to several offices in the city, and huge publicity. Adam and Sarah were hesitant. Could they compete with the big, flashy restaurants? Could they risk everything for this chance? Sarah looked at Adam, her eyes steady. "This is our moment. We cannot hide. If we stay small forever, we lose our chance to grow. We fight, not for glory, but for every small hope we have built." Adam nodded, feeling a surge of courage. "Together," he said. "We do this together." The day of the competition arrived. Big banners, loud music, professional chefs, and curious spectators filled the street. Adam and Sarah set up their tiny stall with care. Every dish was prepared with love, every spice perfectly measured, every meal presented with a smile. People noticed the contrast immediately. The big restaurants had speed and style. Adam and Sarah had warmth and soul. Judges came to taste. They looked skeptical at first, seeing a small shop competing against giant restaurants. But as they took bites, their expressions changed. Flavors were simple, honest, comforting. The warmth of the food reminded them of home, of family, of care. They asked questions about the recipes, the story behind the shop, the struggle Adam and Sarah had endured. Every answer was true, heartfelt, and moving. Meanwhile, a sudden rainstorm began. Tables toppled, the big restaurants struggled to protect their equipment. But Adam and Sarah calmly covered their dishes, offered free samples to people hurrying inside, and smiled through the chaos. Their calm and dedication stood out like a beacon. Spectators began cheering, moved not only by the food, but by the courage and resilience of the couple. Finally, it was time for the announcement. Adam and Sarah stood side by side, holding hands tightly, hearts racing. The announcer spoke. The winner of today's City Food Challenge, the shop that stole hearts, not just filled stomachs, Adam and Sarah's home kitchen. The crowd erupted. People clapped, cheered, and some even cried. Adam and Sarah hugged tightly, laughing and crying at the same time. The judges praised their honesty, dedication, and the care they put into every meal. They had won not because of wealth, speed, or glamour, but because of heart, persistence, and love. That evening, as the storm cleared, Adam and Sarah stood outside their small shop, looking at the quiet street now buzzing with excitement. Their eyes met, and no words were needed. They had faced the biggest challenge of their lives, and they had won it together. They realized that true success was never about wealth, recognition, or fame. It was about staying true to oneself, supporting each other, and never giving up. Their shop became more popular than ever. People came from distant areas to taste their meals, inspired by the story of perseverance behind the food. Adam and Sarah continued to work hard, teach new helpers, and spread kindness in the city. But inside, they knew the true victory was not the prize, not the publicity. It was the strength, love, and courage they had discovered within themselves during the toughest test of their lives. After winning the City Food Challenge, Adam and Sarah felt a mix of relief, joy, and quiet pride. But deep down, they knew life would continue to bring small challenges. Success was not a destination. It was a journey built on effort, honesty, and love. Their small shop, now buzzing with loyal customers and curious visitors, had become a symbol of hope. People often came not just for the food, but to see the couple who never gave up, who turned struggle into triumph. Adam and Sarah welcomed everyone with warmth, remembering each customer's name, their preferences, and their stories. Every small interaction mattered. Every kind word mattered. They also remembered their beginnings, the cold nights, empty pockets, the leaking roof, and the whispered doubts of neighbors. Those memories were no longer a source of shame, but a source of strength. Adam often said to Sarah, "Every hardship we faced taught us something. Every struggle prepared us for today." She would smile, squeeze his hand, and reply, "Yes, and together we can face anything." With the success of the first shop, they opened a second, slightly bigger space. But the essence remained the same: love, care, honesty, and simplicity. The menu was small but perfect, the food cooked with dedication, and the service personal. Every employee was treated like family. They taught young helpers not only to cook but to care, to understand the value of patience, effort, and integrity. Adam and Sarah never chased wealth or fame. They chased meaning. They knew true happiness came from giving, not receiving. They often cooked extra meals for families in need, gave free lunches to children in schools, and provided small jobs to those who had lost everything. Each act of kindness was a seed, and they watched it grow slowly, quietly, but powerfully. Even as life became busier, they held on to small daily rituals that grounded them. Every morning, they shared tea together, discussing the day ahead. Every night, they counted their blessings, no matter how small. They walked hand in hand through the quiet streets, remembering the days when they had nothing but hope. Their children grew up seeing not a life of luxury, but a life of values. They learned that effort mattered more than talent, honesty more than shortcuts, and love more than possessions. Adam and Sarah told them stories of struggle, failure, small victories, and perseverance. And the children listened carefully, understanding that true strength came from facing life with courage and heart. Years passed, and the city came to know Adam and Sarah not only for their food, but for their story. A story of resilience, love, and unwavering dedication. People often asked how they remained strong through hardships. Sarah would answer softly. We didn't try to be strong. We just stayed together. That was our strength. Adam and Sarah's small shop became more than a place to eat. It became a place to feel seen, to feel hope, to witness the power of love and effort. Their walls were decorated with small notes from customers, thanking them not just for the food, but for showing that honesty, patience, and kindness still existed. Each note was a reminder that their journey had meaning far beyond profits or recognition. The couple also traveled occasionally, visiting small towns and schools to share their story. They spoke to young people about the value of hard work, the importance of kindness, and the power of never giving up. No dream is too small, Adam told a classroom full of children. No challenge is too big if you face it with heart and honesty. One quiet evening, after a long day at the shop, Adam and Sarah sat on the bench outside their first little shop. The sun was setting, painting the sky with warm orange and pink hues. The street was calm, the sounds of the city soft, and the smell of freshly cooked food lingered in the air. Adam looked at Sarah and said, "We've come a long way, haven't we?" She smiled, her eyes reflecting the fading sunlight. "Yes, we have. And we have so much more to give." They sat in silence for a while, reflecting on the journey. From the first cold nights, the empty rooms, the small failures, to the victories that came from persistence, love, and courage. They knew that life would continue to test them. But now they had the confidence and the heart to face anything. Adam and Sarah's story became a beacon for the community. People who felt lost, lonely, or hopeless would come to see them, talk to them, and draw inspiration. The couple never treated themselves as heroes. They simply showed that ordinary people, when united by love and determination, could achieve extraordinary things. In the end, their true success was not in awards, money, or recognition. It was in the lives they touched, the hope they inspired, and the love they nurtured. Adam and Sarah knew that even if tomorrow brought storms, failures, or new challenges, they would face them together, with hands clasped and hearts full of courage. As night fell, they closed the shop, switched off the lights, and sat by the window with cups of tea. Adam whispered softly, "I'm proud of us." Sarah replied, "We did it together." And in that moment, the streets that had once been cold and harsh now felt warm, alive, and full of promise. Their story, simple yet profound, left a lasting lesson for everyone. No matter how hard life becomes, never give up. Love fiercely, work honestly, and hold on to hope. Success is not the end. It is the courage to keep moving forward, to face every new day with heart, determination, and belief in yourself. And so, Adam and Sarah's journey continued, not in grand gestures or wealth, but in quiet victories, shared meals, helping hands, and hearts that never stopped dreaming.